Hello flosstube, this is AM Dreamingstitcher. It's been a really long time since I put up a video. I think it was January, maybe February. It's been a long time, I can't even remember. I did tell you that my plan was not to come back and show a video unless I had a finish. That was maybe not the greatest idea since my finishes are few and far between, but the fact that I'm here today should tell you I have at least one. Before I get into my stitching, I thought I'd sort of cover some news from flosstube land that I've been following. Several different things have been going on. Most recently, yesterday, wrapped up Jen Lee Quirks and Stitches' second 24 hours of cross stitch. Looks like plenty of dedicated and crazy people participated in that. I was not one. It's so much fun to watch and to see what they post, and I thoroughly enjoyed Jen's first video back when she did it a couple months ago. But there are a lot of reasons I wouldn't do it. One, I know how valuable sleep is. It's not something you can catch up on again. I've been up for darn near 24 hours before, not cross-stitching, but I know how exhausted you get. And even with, all night Saturday and all day Sunday to rest up, all kinds of studies say you don't really make up a sleep deficit by sleeping more when you're able. So I would get up Monday morning and be a zombie for the week. It just wouldn't do. Also, I know how little you can get done in 24 hours, and it was kind of fun to watch Jen the first time around, seeing that all her great plans to do something new every hour were not quite working out because you get so little done. And this time around, same thing with some of the stitchers. I watched Long Dog Stitcher. She was the first one I saw to post a 24-hour video, and she didn't make it for the whole 24, but she did pretty good. She did 14 hours, and she commented along the way how little you actually get done, and she's not the only one to notice that. So I knew that even if I stitched for 24 hours, you wouldn't see much, and I would be exhausted. But oh, it looks like fun. And the only other drawback, I guess you could say, was that to make it work, Jen had it start at 1 in the afternoon, my time. I'm at work. I couldn't do it then. So, didn't work for me, but boy, it was fun to watch. In other flosstube news and things I've been watching, Stitching Jules has put up on her blog a wonderful, wonderful list of flosstubers where you can click on the links and go straight to their channels. Now, she was aware that there were a lot, and her first list was 100 or so. She didn't know how many. Lots of folks, including myself, suggested other names to her. I gave her only a fraction of the names I could have, and her list was up over 200 last I saw. But there are so many more flosstubers than that. I just didn't want to keep nagging her with more and more and more names. But maybe now and then I might suggest some, I don't know, or maybe some of you can pass along some of the names you know. But it's a great list. I think it's so nice to be able to go somewhere and just click and go straight to their channels and see all their videos. The closest thing I found to that before was the wonderful playlist that Wonderfully Hopeless had been keeping back when I first started flosstube, where she would put in videos as they were posted, least of all those she knew. And at one point she said there were more than 500 flosstubers. Now I know some of them come and go. Some I have not seen for a long time. There's new ones all the time. One of the ones that I noticed disappeared, and I got curious and started looking, was Sunroom Stitcher. I used to watch hers now and again. They were always very pleasant because she would sit out in her sunroom and stitch. But she, on her blog, which I discovered while trying to figure out what happened to her, says that she got banned from YouTube for some kind of violation. I can't imagine what she could have done that would violate their standards, but I don't know, maybe she showed a chart. I don't know what the issue was, but no more videos from her. So I'm just saying some come and go. I was enjoying Marilla and Morgan for a long time, but it's been many months since they posted. Stitchy Ryan hasn't posted in 9 or 10 months, I think. So the floss tubers come and go. I enjoy them, but it's so nice to have that list that Stitching Jules has of channels. I don't know whether I would give her the ones who aren't active anymore, but just to be able to go back and see their videos. I mean, just to have that link to everything on their channel it's nice, it's helpful. I realize that if you subscribe, you can also kind of pull up their videos, but that's so many subscriptions. I have a lot already. I should probably add more. I really should. But anyway, please, if you have not, check out Stitching Jules. Go to her blog and look at the wonderful list of floss tubers. Other floss tube news. Ginger Gerald has put out kind of a competition to viewers because he's coming up on a finish on his Henry VIII, which is a full coverage, massive piece, more than 400 by 400 stitches, full of confetti. And he graciously has said that in the competition, anyone who already has a piece of 100 by 100 stitches or larger, who wishes to try to finish theirs before he wraps up Henry, which he hopes to do by July, is welcome to join in. That's really nice of him because 100 by 100 is 1/16 of the size of his Henry. Of course, his Henry's almost done, but to say that's a large piece when what he's doing is truly a large piece is very kind of him. And he says it doesn't even have to be full coverage, just the total stitch count needs to be at least 100 by 100. That's so nice. Of course, I never join in on those things because I don't have social media. Another reason I didn't do the 24 hours of cross stitch was because I don't have Discord to talk to the people. I don't have Instagram to post photos. I don't have Facebook to join the group. None of that. So I couldn't join in on Gerald's either. But it's fun to watch. So if you don't know about it, go check out some of Gerald's more recent videos and find the one where he announces that competition. By the way, I thought it was really, personally, I thought it was kind of amusing when he said those were large pieces because everything I was working on, every one of my whips, I thought was at least 100 by 100. Now it turned out I was wrong about one of them. I have everything stacked around me. Let me check. Yeah, my Tiffany wedding, which I have not worked on lately, but my Tiffany wedding is only 60 across. But as you can see, it's at least double that, triple that lengthwise. But everything else I had, yeah, it's all at least 100 by 100. So I was thinking that's large projects. I thought they were sort of medium sized, but maybe that's why I'm not getting anything done. Maybe because everything I have is large. So, spoiler alert, my finish is a new start. That was small because Ginger Gerald made me think about how big all my other ones are and why I wasn't getting anywhere. But I'll show you that in a minute. I had one more piece of stitching news, I guess, which is that April is here. That means Stitch Mania is just around the corner. Last year I participated in a small way by pledging to do, because it was 2018, 18 minutes a day on each of my whips, or actually the equivalent thereof. So I added up the total number of minutes for that and did that on each whip. I don't really have any Mania plans this year. I don't know if I will. I haven't seen a whole lot of videos start going up yet where people announce their plans, but we'll see. That is around the corner and I'll be watching. I'll be interested. I also know that this month Stitching in Sequence, McKenna, I don't know the date, I should watch and look, was hosting a retreat. And that might be interesting to see videos for too. So lots of stitching news out there. Okay, you came here for stitching, so let me show you what I have worked on. The first piece that I did when leaving you last month, that I put some time in on, and also almost the last piece because I came back to it again later, was my birds of a feather. The designer or artist, I really never have figured out which, I think she's a painter, is Catherine McClung. The reason I think that she's a painter is because of that portrait of her there with a easel out in the woods. So I think someone has adapted her art. But of course I'm doing the top one, flock together. And there has been some progress, not as much as I had hoped to show you considering how long it's been, but let's loosen them up a little and show you their heads. Okay, so the top, of course, is up there. And I was hoping by sitting with the window light coming in from the side, you'd be able to see things better. I don't know if that's going to work. Last time, well, I think I can just mention what I have added. I've finished out all the branches. I've added some berries, but this branch is new since you saw it. This branch, this big long branch, these berries, that bit of berry, it's not even done. Yeah, I finished up branches and added a few berries. The poor bird is still waiting on his face. I may have done some on him since you saw him, but I'm not sure that I did. But there they are, getting closer to being able to start some backstitching, because yeah, everything is backstitched. The branches, the birds, the berries, everything will have backstitch as well. So we'll just have to see. I'm sorry I didn't get it done for you all, but I'm still working on it. I'm still plugging away. And yes, it's more than 100 by 100, but a lot of open space, so really there's not much good excuse for why I haven't finished that yet. But I did work on that one. Second piece that I moved to, I have them all kind of piled up next to me. Pardon the crinkles. I'm going to put my... By the way, I'm filming in a corner of my office because I was hoping, as I said, that the light coming in from this side might give you better color. I don't know if it will, but you're seeing like the messy corner of my office behind me. Sorry about that. Second piece I went to was my fish. Now, I'm kind of thinking about talking about materials in this video because I was really noticing when I went to the fish, the koi, I should say, Japanese koi is the name of the piece. It's by, who are you by? Monarch Horizons. The fabric is awful. I told you that before. This fabric for the birds is very nice. I'm thinking of calling my video Materials Matter because they do. This is Aida. It's an oatmeal, or could have been a fiddler's cloth, but I think it's an oatmeal Aida. And it's 16 count. And it's fine to work on. It's a pleasure. I'm working with DMC floss. It's really nice to do. There are no issues with it. I never feel, any complaint about the materials when I'm stitching on it. With my koi, on the other hand, I can't say that. So let me show you a picture of what the koi are going to look like. I think I said last time that this image does not show the colors at all true to what the floss in the kit is. The actual colors are way more intense. Those are pretty pale and washed out. Let me show you what I mean. Much brighter, more intense. So, this fabric, look at all those hoop marks. Look at the folds. Look at all, this is awful fabric, and it's not even all that stiff. It's just the kind where when you put your needle through it, it leaves holes. They just don't go away. They don't. Okay. So I've got, as you can see, 4 of the koi taken care of, and I started on a 5th. His little head is down there. There are 8 koi altogether, including that one at the top, which, to remind you, was misplaced. And it's so hard to be patient with cross stitch, but I'm trying. I need to get all the other fish done so I can see if there's enough floss left in the kit to pull this out and put him in the right place, or if I have to fudge it and add a row at the top and bring him closer overall to all the other fish. We will see. But this fabric, it's it's really different to stitch on. When you pull the thread through, also the thread, I don't know what Monarch puts in their kits. I should say put, because I don't think they're around anymore. But it's kind of thin. The coverage is not the greatest. You can see through to the fabric. I don't know if you can do that there, but you can tell even in the picture on the packaging that the coverage is kind of sparse. And I don't know, I have to plug away at it. I'm a little bit of a monogamous stitcher anyway, even though I have a number of whips. I find that I'll work on one for a while until I'm kind of tired of it, and one of the other ones is calling to me, and then I pull that out. There's no specific rotation or anything. So this one I had to stick with. By the way, I think I had the first 2 fish last time, so I've added 2 koi and the start of another since you last saw it. But I have to keep at it because otherwise I'd probably get discouraged and just stop, because it's not that fun to stitch on. But I like the result. I like the fish. So that's my Japanese koi by Monarch Horizons, and that was the second thing I worked on after leaving you previously. It is an older kit that I got off of eBay, 1989 according to the copyright date on there, in Roman numerals. I love Roman numerals. I wish everybody knew how to read them. Okay, after that, let's get it back in the box. By the way, speaking of materials, everything is worked kind of on different stuff. You can see I have these guys on a frame. This is a, it would be nice if I could remember the brand name. But as you can see, it's the kind that has clamps that go over, and it's a little difficult to get the clamps on there, but they hold it really well. I have a couple other pieces on scroll frames that I want to comment on too when I get to the next one. But this one, as you can see, I'm working with a plastic hoop. That might be why it's leaving all the marks on the fabric. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Let me pull up the next one. Probably be considerate of me to pause you guys while I'm digging around and playing with things, but I think I'll only do that if I have to pull something up that isn't right within reach. Okay, next thing I worked on after the fish was my carousel lion, and I want to comment on his materials again too. I'm working him with a wooden hoop, and he is another eBay find, which I've told you about before. He's from Bernat, 1987 or 88, I think. 1988. And I thought I was making good progress on him after the fish. He was a pleasure to stitch after the fish because his fabric is so soft and pliable. It's like the horse I did, in that it's almost too loose a weave because it's easy to put your needle through next to the hole instead of through the hole because it goes right through. But the floss is DMC. It's just such a pleasure to work. And last time you saw him, he had most of his face, a bit of the top of his head, his saddle, and some of his trappings. So now he's got all that. Again, I'm going to try to turn him to catch the light and hope that that improves what you're seeing. I don't know. I don't know which is best. Maybe I should turn it this way. I've been going that way. Maybe that's washing it out. I'm not sure. But as you can see, I've gotten down to part of his belly. Got the strap on his saddle, getting some of the red that's coming around his neck and shoulders. I felt like I was making real progress on him. He needs an eye, poor guy. But there's really so much more to do. This really is a slow craft, as the 24 Hours of Cross Stitcher participants found out and commented. The pole needs to go on, all of his legs, his rump, his tail, so much more. And even then, after all that's done, the entire border. He still needs the whole border all the way around as well. He's got a long way to go, and I felt like I was really, making progress. Now, as far as his materials, it is a pleasure to stitch on the fabric, but I feel like his mane is kind of a mess. And I think the reason I feel that way is that I may be missing those holes sometimes. And so it's not as neat. The stitches are not lying as neatly as I would like them to. I really think it has something to do with the fabric, but I like it, and I like the floss, and especially after the fish. This is so much more of a pleasure to stitch. So materials really make a difference in the experience of what you're making. I could have, I got a little tired of him after all the mane. The mane was kind of complicated. You get tired of putting in all the different little colors one at a time after a while. And so I did move on. But I think he'll be much easier the next time I pick him up because there's not as much changing color going on. Okay, next, what did I do after him? Well, I worked on his eyes on the sparrow. And I have told you before that when I first started it, this is another comment I want to make. I looked back recently at my first flosstube video and sat through the whole thing, and I don't remember it super well, but I noticed that it was almost 3 years ago. It was in July of 2016, so we're about 3 months shy of that now. And I mentioned 7 works in progress then, and one that I was proposing to do, which is his eyes on the sparrow, which I did end up starting. That makes 8 that were shown to you or talked about or mentioned in that first video as in progress or about to be in progress. And 4 of those, I believe, have subsequently been finished. I think it was 4. But I'm still working on the Tiffany wedding and the birds of a feather flock together and his eyes on the sparrow, and I don't remember who number 4 was. But I haven't finished them. And it's been almost 3 years. Now, I have to be fair, I've done more than a dozen other projects in that time that I didn't show you in the first video that I started and subsequently finished. But I feel like I really need to crack down on these. It's been so long. So, his eye is on the sparrow. When I first showed it to you, I said I was going to change the colors, change the material, that I wasn't that much into samplers, that I didn't want it to look old and weathered when it was brand new. So I worked to change out all the colors to DMCs. First sort of DMC equivalents using sources online to get an idea, and then lightening them up from that because they were sort of old and aged colors, and putting it on a linen that I could afford, which is an apparel linen. So speaking of materials, extremely soft. I've read advice before that says to be careful not to pierce the threads when doing cross stitch, and I always thought, well, why would I do that? I wouldn't pierce the threads. And I'm wondering, do they mean the threads of the linen? Because with this, with slubs and things, that actually is possible. Anyway, I will show you my progress, but I'm going to mention something about it. In the process of changing the colors, some of them were highly variegated, and so I had to choose which color to go with for the DMC. And one of them most recently, first time I came to it in the piece, was called Fisherman's Wharf. Really strong color contrasts. So I went online to see what the finished motifs were supposed to look like to get an idea which color I should stick with. And it made me think, looking at those images online of this piece, that cross stitch, forgive me, really is like one big coloring contest. I mean, his eye is on the sparrow looked like every other one, and they all look like mine, and mine all look like them. Now, did they really? Well, no. Some of them were different colors of floss, beautifully done, different fabrics. But if you put them all on a wall, like a kids' coloring contest where they have them all, do they still have kids' coloring contests? I don't know. I don't have kids and I'm not one anymore, but you used to be able to go into stores and they would sponsor contests and they'd all be coloring the same picture. And my siblings and I, or at least I, would wonder, how do they judge that? Are you in the line? Did you pick good colors? How do they decide who the winners are? We could never win. How do you pick a winner for a coloring contest? But if you go into a place that's doing that, restaurants used to do it, stores, I remember Kmart doing it. I think I saw Target doing it once. Anyway, if you put all of his eye is on the sparrows on a wall, they'd all look alike and not alike. It would be like a kid's coloring contest where they're clearly all the same image, but all different. Same with any piece where we're all doing it together. And some colorists are so much better than others. I can't remember who I was watching that was doing Death by Cross Stitch, and her color choices were so gorgeous. And I wish I could remember which one she was, but she was talking about in one area filling in the negative space of the design. That was the term she used. So if you've seen that video, you'll know who I'm talking about. And oh, it was beautiful. Not like everybody else's aren't very nice too, but if you had a wall of Death by Cross Stitches and looked at them, your eyes would definitely go to that one. But still, it's a little strange for me to think, even though mine has all this vertical distortion because of my apparel fabric, where it's about 25% difference in the stitch count. I think it's, I tried measuring again. It's something like 32 count vertically and 38 to 40 count horizontally. So the things are all very stretched out vertically. Anyway, to think I've changed all my colors, I've brightened them up, I've used DMC, I've got a different fabric, and it still looks like everybody else's. His eye is on the sparrow. I mean, it's the same piece. It's the same piece. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's different. Anyway, my goal when working on it was I really wanted to get to the house, or at least get it started. I felt like I'd feel as if I'd made some progress if I got there, and I have, but really there's so much more to go. It's not that much progress. But what have I added? I added a couple of red flowers, some more green branches, this bird motif. I think he's a duck there behind the squirrely, rabbity looking thing. This yellow flower motif, I don't know what it is, the horse, the start of the center motif that the signature will go in. This little flower here, I finished that one. You had seen a couple of red petals last time was all, so now it has all its petals and its stem. I did this thing that looks like a pigeon, which I'll say something about in a minute. I think the blue and yellow bird there is new too. I did this thing at the bottom that I think of as some kind of seabird. I did the vase with the flower, which has to do with the pigeon because of the color, and one wing of the house. So I did add a lot of little motifs. Now, what did I want to say about them? At first, on the pigeon, some of his colors are going to change because you can see how pale that gray is. That was my first choice for the Fisherman's Wharf. How I ended up at that, I don't know. I think I picked the grayer hue and really lightened it up far too much. So I've gone back and begun to put in a darker gray. The results of my looking online and also seeing Fisherman's Wharf in person were to think I'm going to go, and looking at the motifs that call for it, I'm going to go with the gray, but I'm going to darken it up. So I also pulled out the seagulls, or whatever he is, his wings, and put in a darker gray. I think I went from 646 to 648, or vice versa, 647. I don't know. It's all DMC. But those needed to be darker than some of the other grays, like in that deer. And that's what ended up in the vase, which kind of got me all started on it. Come here. Because that was supposed to be all Fisherman's Wharf. And I thought, what color should that be? So yeah, I don't know how true any of my colors are showing up for you. Those are kind of little greenish windows and red door, and I don't know. Oh, the sun thing. Whatever that is. I did that too. Okay, so little, and yet so many. I don't know what to say. I mean, I worked on it, and I'm hardly further than I was. But I was doing his eyes on the sparrow, and it looks like everybody else's, but it doesn't. And I'm not trying to say they're all really alike, just it astonishes me that no matter what changes you make, it's really so little difference. It's the designers that make the difference. It's the designers that are everything about our craft, the beautiful things they make. I think we should be thanking them on every piece because all our changes don't amount to much compared to what they have created, which is awesome, beautiful stuff. Okay, what else did I work on? Well, two more things. In one of them, I do have a mention of materials again. This is the most recent thing I've been working on. So, Ginger Gerald's competition made me think about how these pieces I have are also large and I'm not getting anything done, and that's probably why I'm feeling really frustrated that I'm not making any progress, and I'm never going to make another flosstube video because I'll never finish anything and I'll never get done with all the stuff I want to stitch. So I went to my smalls box and I looked through and I found a mini. I said, this is what I want to do. I've been wanting to do one anyway because I wanted to do something for Easter, and this was a bunny. A bunny. So I will show you my bunny in a minute. But he was tiny, he was easy to do. I estimated from his stitch count and the way I stitched it, he would take me about 5 hours. And I didn't actually time it, but that's probably true. And this other piece is larger. I figure it might take 10. But I was so happy with doing the rabbit, I went and looked for another little piece before I go back to my big ones. And I've started my little piece. The one I started was the bear in this set of 3. Oh, I do have another really big start I need to show you too. But I've already started on the bear, so let me show you the bear. And his fabric is very nice. It's this Rivacco, whatever comes in their kits. It's very soft, it's very pleasant to stitch on. I'm stitching in hand like I always do with small pieces. But on my rabbit, you've got this stiff thing. And on Rivacco, you have this soft, flexible thing. Anyway, I have this much of my bear. Part of his tummy, can you see that? And his little face, his eyes, his nose. Not tons. I didn't do the red feather yet because I'm waiting till I get down to some more red. But I started this small because everything else was so big. And I'll show you the rabbit in a moment, but I did say I had another start. I almost forgot about this. So I showed you the frame earlier. I just mentioned doing the bear and the bunny that I'm going to show you in hand. But I do a lot of things on frames, and I have not worked on this, but I brought it partly to show you again about materials, that this one has a lousy frame. And I really do want to work on it. I haven't touched him in, oh Lord, 9 months maybe. I don't know. I need to work on him. But his frame is one of these Edmonds, and the ends come off when I'm working with it. It drives me crazy. It's not supposed to do that. It's a lousy frame. So I have, and I'm not saying they're all like that, but that one sure is. So my new big piece, is this sounding at all coherent? My new big piece is on a big frame. A big frame. It's a 36-inch frame. That's upside down, by the way. And you're not going to be able to tell what I have going on there in the middle. But, oh, it's a good frame. This is the kind that has its own Velcro to it. And you Velcro the fabric to the frame. And you work away. The fabric, speaking of materials, is not very good stuff. It's okay. It comes from long ago. Our Walmart actually sold Aida cloth on the bolt. It did. And I bought 2 yards of, I think, ivory and 2 yards of antique white. And when I was looking for something to put this on, there are several size options. This is an artsy piece, by the way, and I'm not going to bother to tell you what it is yet because you can't. That's such a tiny little piece. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to see anything in it yet. I mostly want to talk about the materials and the project and how I'm stitching something this big. But it could be done on 14 count, 16 count, 18 count. I had the fabrics. I went with the 14, the largest, because I want it to be a big piece on the wall. And I had bought this frame specifically with pieces this size in mind. By the way, the stitch count is 350 wide by about half that high. So it'll be a big one. And the fabric is working out. I probably should have washed it before I started. You can see all the wrinkles and crinkles and everything that are in it. But I was trying to do it on the frame stand I have, which I've worked with before. I did a Dimensions Undersea Paradise with this frame. Hang on a minute, I'm going to dive over here and grab it. Pardon my mess. This is the stand I'm talking about. It's one of these floor stands that's supposed to hold it with this part, and it adjusts somewhat. It doesn't get super high or anything, but the problem is the grip it had on the fabric I didn't think was good for it. It's left all these marks, and it was hard to maneuver because of the size. And so I went online to look at other alternatives for stands, and I really want the kind where it just sits, not rotates, so that you can rotate it yourself with your hands. And was struggling a bit with that because of the prices and finding them and how long they would come, and I thought, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I already spent a lot of money just to get the frame. So you know what I'm doing? The table that this computer is on is a tray table from Walmart, and my sister got another one just like it. Actually, hers we had first. She got one to put her computer on or when she visits. And excuse me, I'm moving things. Let me pause you and hope that I can start again. Pause. Unpause and we'll see what happens. All of my stuff, all my floss and everything was on the table. I was working with it, my charts, my patterns, my needle, my threader, all of that. But here's the second table. See the legs and things? It's one of these where it stands on the floor and has a big flat surface, and you can adjust the height. Look at the bottom there, see that strap? You can adjust the height. So I have two of them at equal heights, side by side, because my sister hasn't reclaimed hers yet. She talked about reclaiming it on her last visit. She said, I bought that table, didn't I? I should take that back. Well, until she does, what I'm doing is resting my frame between the two tables. And then I stitch happily, and I flip and rotate all I want, and then I rest it again between the two tables. So I can, kind of pull up the frame. The tables hold it. I can do whatever I want to do. I can do whatever I want to do. So, did I spend hundreds of dollars for a fancy lap frame? Floor stand? No. I do have a lap frame somewhere that I can't find. But again, this is kind of large. I don't think I would do it on that. So what have we got? Well, that little pink bits above the little brown blob are tiny pink clouds in what's going to be a huge piece. There's not enough to see. I'm not even going to try to tell you, but just know I did a new start. It's got one of those frames with the Velcro. I'm resting it between two tables. It's going to be forever, but I'm working on it. So, one last thing, my finish. I told you it was a bunny. Oh, I do have to pause for a minute because before it was a bunny, it was a blob. And I want you to see the blob. Just a moment. I was folding laundry, but you'd never know if I didn't tell you unless the light changed. Anyway, before I had a bunny, I had a blob. Oh, go away. Don't want a notification. I need to go plug this in. It needs charging. See that? That's a bunny without backstitch. He's also missing something else significant that bunnies need to have that I didn't notice till I started the backstitch, so I couldn't take another picture. But that blob became my finish. I finished something. I think it's my first finish of the year. Unless in my last video, I guess it was January or February, I guess I had a finish then. But he's done. And he's tiny. He's an artiste kit. I did not get him on sale. I did not. I might have used a coupon on him. I don't know. So speaking of materials, his fabric is not the greatest, but you can work in hand with it. It's really easy to stitch that way. I didn't mind stitching at all. But the floss, artiste floss, I've mentioned it before. Others have said as much too. It's garbage. It's garbage. Do not count on pulling out any stitches and still keeping your floss. I had one stitch out of place, I think. And pulling it out, the floss just self-destructed, shredded. Fortunately, I still had enough to finish him. Okay, but they give you garbage. They really do. Now, I don't know how well you can see his colors, but his nose is something I want to make a point about too. Not only do materials matter, but brands can matter. In the package picture, I could have sworn, see if I can get that where you can see. I know there's a lot of glare, but look at his nose. Maybe the color's not good, but I could have sworn it was pink. And I looked at the list of flosses on the back. No pink. And here, I'll show you again without the plastic. Pink nose. Really, pink nose. No pink. And I thought, well, maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe it's really one of the orange colors. So here's my leftovers. No pink. I looked at the list inside. No pink of any kind. Nothing. So I got out, they make very small charts, by the way, a special little tool that I have. I'm going to pause you again so I can grab my special little tool. One moment. My special tool. Nothing fancy. I think DMC or somebody made it. Got it at a chain craft store. It's just a magnifier. So, when I have a chart from Artiste, who is notorious for printing charts with tiny symbols, I pull out my magnifier and I take a look. And that bunny's little nose had two symbols for the quarter stitches. I don't know if they were supposed to be quarter or 3/4. Mine looks like a French knot because I interpreted them as quarter, but they probably should have been 3/4 stitches. Those stitches had a symbol that wasn't on the chart or in the key. I mean, it was on the chart, obviously. It wasn't in the key. It was a little heart. You know, like on a playing card. Did you see a little heart when I showed you the key? I've put it back in the package, but go ahead, rewind if you really want to know. There was no heart. There's a symbol on his chart for his nose. No name for the color in the key, no symbol in the key. He was supposed to have pink. So, made in Turkey, I don't think that has anything to do with it. They gave you floss for every single thing, including, you probably can't even tell, that his eye and mouth have a different color backstitch than the rest of the outline. So for a handful, half a dozen little backstitches, they gave you a whole 6-inch chunk of floss, but they wouldn't do the same for his nose. They wouldn't even print it on the key. This is from Donna Cooler Designs. I bet they're annoyed that they're bunny with carrot. doesn't even come with his nose marked on the chart. But he's done. He's got a nose. It's not the best nose in the world, but he's got a nose. So that is my stitching since last I saw you. You might be looking at the time and thinking, if that's your stitching, 45 minutes in, why is the video not over yet? Because there was a little bit of stash enhancement too. I have thought about doing a series of videos called Sable 1, Sable 2, Sable 3, all the sables that might be, one for each big box, each drawer, each shelf. New Mexico Stitching Demon showed all of her things. Cross Stitcher AK, who is not in Stitching Jewels' list and probably should be, has been showing her stash, one box at a time. Lots of people have had stash parades. I think mine would be far too long. Far too long. But I will show you what I got since January. At first I was really, really good. By the way, many of these have a little story that goes with them. So that will explain some of the time here. But I do want to show you what I got because some of them are really nice. And I said in one of my early videos that enabling is not necessarily a good thing. I don't think any of these were actually the result of enabling except this first one. So, Mev stitches in Paris. I gave her name to Stitching Jewels to add to her list. She does beautiful work. She has some fascinating finishes. She's an artist. She may not think so, but she's an artist. And she did a piece early on that was going to be a gift for someone else. It wasn't her typical stitching, she said, but it was for her boss. And she wasn't going to do the whole piece, but enough of it. And she was doing it with these stunning flosses that she got in France. She told us all about the shop she got them from and what they were called. And they were variegated floss, and her piece was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the first time I saw it, I think it was her first video, I wanted it, but it wasn't in my budget. And so I waited a few months, and then I had trouble finding their website. And I started to panic. And I'd been looking eBay, I've been looking, retailers like 123 Stitch, looking all over. Nobody had it. I was going to need to get it from their site. And their site didn't update for 2019. It still said 2018. And they were doing sort of a stitch along that only had 2 parts posted that had been posted forever. I was thinking, is their site even active anymore? And so finally, and I had tried to email once and got no reply. But after many more months passed, I thought, okay, I really, really would like that piece. Let me try one more time. So I emailed them. The piece I'm talking about is Coats of Arms by Stickadine von Wienberg. And I like it. I like it a lot. I think that Mev Stitches stopped with just maybe 5 of them, not all 7, but hers was gorgeous. And why do I like it so much? I'm not sure, because it actually reminds me of things like last year's Linens and Things free stitch along. It's the same kind of theme, but I like these old feudal European, you'd see them on a Coats of Arms, and I like them. And I have no idea, excuse me, what happened to my voice? I have no idea what color I'll do them in. I have no idea when I'll do them. I want to stitch everything I have, and that's not possible. I'd have to live to be 500 and be stitching every day. But if I did stitch that, and by the way, you can look this up online and see other people's work. Coats of Arms, Stickadine von Wienberg. I like them. And why pay money for something that you're gonna it's just a file that you print out yourself? Because of the designer. Because the designer did a beautiful piece. Even if she's basing it on traditional motifs, I like what she came up with. I think it's beautiful. And I also have the Linens and Things files downloaded on my computer because I liked that a lot too, but don't know when or if I'll do that. So that one I was enabled for, and I got it earlier in the year, and I thought, that's it, I'm happy, I've been looking for this for months, I'm done, I don't need another cross stitch thing. And then I don't remember if this is one I got a notification for from eBay or if I was just shopping when I shouldn't have been, but I saw something else, and it was such a good deal. And I said, well, it's such a good deal, and I like my other ones, and I'm going to reach. I'm going to move this box up, hang on, so that I can reach it and still talk to you guys. You may remember that sometimes I go to my not-so-local LNS, and I got some beautiful patterns from their clearance pile last year, and bought all the floss I needed to make them, and even added one more from 123 Stitch. Well, this is the same company, the Silver Lining, and someone was selling in very good condition, very good used condition, and they are clearly used. Some of them have little stains on them, but all the pages are here. You can tell somebody stitched them up, which makes me happy because I feel like I'm following in a fellow stitcher's footsteps. But they had half a dozen patterns, roses and irises, for a really reasonable price. Most floss tubers don't say anything about prices, so I'm starting to think it must be gauche to mention them. But I'll tell you, it was less than $3 a pattern. Roses and irises, I love them both. Oops, let's turn it the right way around, just because. There we go. Roses. Beautiful roses, beautiful irises. And I had no idea how large these patterns were until I took them out to count the pages and started looking at them. But I liked every pattern in this lot. And I didn't have any of the patterns in this lot. And no, I don't have the materials for these yet. But I would love to stitch them. They're beautiful. And they were so cheap. So I said, okay, well, you got the one you've been wanting forever, and you got these at a great price, and they're all beautiful. Now you're done. You don't need any more stitching stuff. You've got all the stitching stuff anybody could need. Then, well, I have heard some floss tubers comment on things. I think it might have been Cross Stitcher IK or Cross Stitching IL, or one of those ladies, I'm not sure. One of them said something moderately disparaging about Dimensions kits, basically along the lines of they're fine, but they don't think they're all that. And I think the reason they said that was because from what I can see, when a product is made in your own country, it can be very reasonably priced and you kind of take it for granted. When it's an import, the price goes sky high. Why do I think that? Well, because I have shopped at both So-and-So, UK, and 123 Stitch here in the States, and Dimensions kits at So-and-So are pretty highly priced. They are very dear. And so I can see if someone was in Europe and buying those, they might think, this must be some kind of amazing premium cross-stitch, because look at the prices on these things. At the same time, some of the ones we buy here, like, I don't know, Bothy threads, just off the top of my head, I'm not sure if that's the priciest, Eva Rosenstand, Theo Gouverneur, some of those are extraordinarily expensive here on this side of the pond. And I have a feeling maybe they're not quite so much over in Europe. So prices being what they are, and then there's the cost of shipping. So at Amazon, I had a number of kits at one time that I had picked out in my wish list, in my shopping cart, that were from Heritage Craft, I think is the company. And I ended up buying some of them, my favorites, but everyone was really expensive. Now, maybe if I was over in the UK, they wouldn't be so pricey, but here in the States, they were really expensive. And there were a couple I didn't buy that were still staying in my wish list because I couldn't afford them all at once, and the shipping alone was like $12 each for the shipping. And so eventually they disappeared from my Amazon cart because they were no longer available. First it said currently unavailable, and then they were gone. And I was okay with most of those, but one of them I kind of missed and wished I had bought when I had the chance. And so I found myself looking online time and again, seeing, is it available? Is it available? Is it at eBay? Well, you can get the chart at eBay, kind of pricey. When the kit comes up, it's terrifically expensive. Well, not terrifically, not Lady of the Flag expensive, but pricey, if you can find the kit at all. I did try to bid on one once, went too high for me. And then in eBay, I came across the kit for a third of the Amazon price that I would have paid. Not even counting shipping. The shipping was free. And I thought, how can that be? Is this really a kit? So I read the description. And the description didn't say anything about floss, but the photographs did. The description said with chart and needle. And I thought, is it real? So I emailed the seller. I almost never do that. I did that at Amazon once to ask a question about some book. And as soon as I did that, the seller jacked up the price of that book tremendously. And I thought, okay, last time I ever do that, as soon as they see someone's interested, they hike the price. But I really wanted to know about this kit, this Heritage Craft kit. It was a John Clayton kit. And it was the best price I'd seen anywhere, ever. Less than the price for the chart. Like I said, you could have bought 3 of them at this price, and it still wouldn't have added up to what I would have paid. So the seller emailed back and said, pardon my language skills, but yes, it is a full kit, I promise. So I looked at what the seller had, and they had multiple, not of the same design, but multiple kits available of different designs. I ended up buying 3 because, like I said, you could get 3 for 1. And one of them, okay, this is a sign of my issues. I showed you this some time ago. This is one of those ones I got on clearance, this chart. It's a chart, just a chart, on clearance at my not-so-local L&S. And it was a reasonable price, and I've always wanted to stitch it. One of the 3 that I got from this seller, I thought, it's the same kit. I will be able to look at it and know whether this is some kind of rip-off, some kind of, knockoff from some third world country, or whether it's the real deal, because I will order that one. There it is. There it is. Maybe you can't tell. It's a little smaller. But everything about it is the same. The stitch count. This one has the chart is only black and white. Here the kit has a color chart. The company is a Thai company called Pin. And it's the real deal. And it was so cheap. And so the one I wanted, that was in my cart forever to make this horribly long story shorter, was this, morning delivery. I've been wanting morning delivery so long, and I just couldn't afford it anywhere I saw it. And there it is. And while looking through this seller stuff, looking up at the, make it the picture bigger feature, I thought, I've seen that before, but not really thought much of it. I like those sheep. So 3 kits from Pin, Heritage, John Clayton, Heritage Stitchcraft. 3 for what the one morning delivery would have cost me through Amazon, not even counting the shipping. Okay, now that's it. That's all the stitching I'll ever need. I got the Stickity and Von Vienborg piece I wanted. I got the Heritage Craft I've been looking for forever, and then some. I got more of those beautiful silver lining pieces. I don't need any more stitching, do I? I don't. Except, okay. Just 2. It's only 2. I was looking on eBay. I need to stay away from places that sell cross stitch. That's all there is to it. And I was looking up a search term, Tudor cross stitch. and they didn't really have anything to excite me that was actual Tudor cross stitch, but this came up because the seller had described it as a Tudor house, and I liked it. And I thought about it, and I almost bought it, and I put it back, and then I searched it by the actual name of the piece and found out there's like a ton of sellers selling this piece, so I found a cheaper one. Yes, I did. But this, a few weeks passed, by the way, between me seeing it and me getting this, and the reason I got this was because the same seller had something for my sister because she loves chickens. Same very inexpensive, reasonable price for this chicken kit. Okay, they were cheap. It's okay. They didn't add too much to my stash. It's only 2 kits, right? Well, I looked at for reviews online of the chicken, and you can still get it, I think, through Amazon. Not at the price I paid, but you can get it. And the people complained about a couple of things. This is more of my materials matter. Ready for some more lecture on that? You see that massive wad of floss? New Mexico stitching demon Courtney was complaining about kits like this where they give you a massive wad of floss. So some of the reviewers at Amazon were saying this floss is impossible to sort. And one of them said it's really long and it's impossible to sort. And I thought, well, what's long? You know, they always give you like a yard, unless it's that miniature like my rabbit kit where they give you, 6 inches. So I felt challenged. I went ahead and ordered them, and I thought, when that comes, I'm going to sort the chicken so that I can stitch it for my sister. I am going to see how hard it is to do one of those bundles of floss. I have them all in little baggies now. I sorted them, but let me tell you first, the one who said the floss is really long wasn't kidding. The way these things are packaged, it is not 36-inch strands. Each strand is 6 feet long. 6 feet. They're double length. So when the key says we've given you 2 yards of something, for this you can think back, if you've seen it, to the flosstube video I did about sorting kit floss. When they say we've given you 2 lengths, it's really 1 length. Double length, 6 feet. If they say you have 4 lengths of a color, you really have 2, because they're so long. So this one, it says yellow green times 12. This is really 6 yard lengths. 6 feet, 6 feet length. So some of the colors really were not hard. Okay, there was no problem telling the red apart from the coral and so on. I had this mauve. Some of the colors, no issue at all. Really no problem. But some of these colors, and the names were not very helpful. As they said, you don't have any chart to compare them to. The names are not really explicit. It's hard to tell what's going on. You'll have something that they'll call, and there were blends, that they'll call one color. I don't know that you're going to be able to tell, but I'm pulling out a bunch of these that were really hard. Oh, there was a couple of green colors, I think. No, it was brown. That it was almost impossible to tell apart. Almost impossible. Okay, this is red, brown, and brown. I should put something behind these probably, so you can see them. Maybe the fabric. But they have this tan and light gold and ivory and gray green and antique gold and medium brown. Just all these browns and oranges. These were hard. These were hard to tell apart. Light brown. Basically, I can't tell the tans from the browns. You just have to kind of decide. So you have to, like I said in my other video, compare it to the image on the package. Except that doesn't work very well when they're blends. But the only way I could tell some of these colors apart in the end was to look at that. And I am still not positive that I have successfully separated, well, the dark brown and the darkest brown are okay. But there was another color, one of the browns, I swear, that there were two strands of. And you could not, I mean, with the best light on the table, dark beige, I think it was dark beige and dark brown. I'm not sure. But it was nearly impossible to tell them apart. Really, really. So I met the challenge. I sorted them. They're all ready to go. I don't know when I'll stitch it, but for anybody that ever struggled with sorting floss in a kit, sure, I can tell a periwinkle. But some of these others, I didn't even know how to show you how close the colors were to each other and how vague the names are and how their idea of beige doesn't look anything like my idea of beige. I mean, that's a warm brown and they're calling it dark beige. I don't know. I don't know. Their white doesn't look white. Their ivory doesn't look ivory. But those are the colors that go with the picture. Those are the colors that they are. Some of them were easy. Moss green. But wow, that was something. So I agree with everyone whose review at Amazon said this was hard. It was hard. It was hard, and so I'm not looking forward to doing this other one when I get there. And sorry, I think I just bumped you. And Bucilla is the maker of the needlepoint I had where I ran out of colors, several colors. And it's the maker of the Tiffany Wedding stamped cross stitch that I am positive is going to run out of colors. So what if I run out of colors on these cross stitch pieces? They don't match anybody else's colors. What am I going to do after all that sorting? I don't know. So you'd think that would be it. After buying those, who would want any more stash enhancement? Okay, well, I'm mentally ill, so let me show you what I did next. But there is a little story to excuse it. Hang on. I know I'm going to have to go faster or this video will just be too long. But I went to my not-so-local needle workshop. Why? I have everything I need. Why would I go there? Well, my sister still comes out once a month to help me with cleaning up the parents' estate. And on her February trip, no, it was her March trip. On her March trip, she brought a piece of artwork with her that needed to be reframed. Now, we have a framer in town, but that's not why she brought it 400 miles. It's a real piece of art, as in so darn ugly it has to be a real painter, as in it comes from her husband's side of the family. Her mother got it, her mother-in-law got it because she was married to the artist at one time. And he was an artist during the Works Progress Administration, all that Depression era stuff. And if you Google his name, a whole bunch of his pieces are in the collection of I think it's the San Francisco Museum of Fine Art. And the man was, definitely living the life of an artist. He was an alcoholic. This is why they got divorced. But this ugly piece is real art. So why did she bring it 400 miles? Because at one time her mother-in-law lived in my state. And the framer is in the same city as my not-so-local LNS. So my sister said, when I come in March, can we drive up there and take it to the original framer? Because they're bound to do a good job. They framed it originally. And then I can take it back to my husband, and it'll be fine. What was happening was it was falling out of its mat and frame. So we did that. We drove it up there so that it could be framed by the same professionals who had originally done it back in probably the 1940s. Because they've been around that long. Maybe the 1950s. The artist died in 1951. And they did a fine job. They did a fine job. But somebody was going to have to pick it up because my sister comes out once a month. So we agreed I would go the next weekend and pick it up when it was done. So here I am saying, what am I driving up here for? Last weekend when I went with my sister, I at least had an errand I could run at another store that I hadn't been to for a while. But what am I going to do driving all the way up here just to pick up this picture and come down again? I said, I'll go to my not-so-local LNS, and I'll just look at the clearance bin. That's all I'll do. I've looked there before. There's not going to be anything left. Yeah. I only got 9 things. I will show them to you quickly. Except for a kit that was $5. They were all 50 cents or $1. Okay. Tiny Modernist, The Last Unicorn. Apparently this is all over flosstube. I never saw it before, but I like unicorns. I got it for the unicorn. I'll probably change the chart, but I got it. Northern Expressions Needlework, Shades of Gold. I don't think I want to do it in gold, but I like that pattern. Tiny Modernist again. Do you remember, maybe if you watched my other video, the Zoo piece by Sara Guermani? I hope I didn't mess up her name this time. This reminds me of that, the same kind of vintage charm, but so much smaller and easier to do. So I got that. These, they had 2 out of the 3 floral pieces. I don't entirely like what's going on with the backgrounds, but maybe I don't have to stitch that part. I'm not positive about those, but they were cheap. Not a good reason to buy things, but they were cheap. I realize this is a miniature image of the chart there, but it doesn't give you the key or anything. A Saju, I don't know how to say it. French pattern maker. Piece of Morning Glories, it's borders. 3 pieces for which I got the bunny. Wasn't really interested in the other bits, but I got the bunny. Was that, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 2 left. This one I felt a little guilty about, because when I was going through the bin, it sounded like a shop volunteer came by with another lady behind me and said they may be in this bin. They were talking about dogs, and she said something about popular dogs or dog alphabet, and yeah, there was a dog alphabet in there, and there was also this. So as I leafed through, they gave up because I was there leafing through. They were going to come back. I put all the dog things at the front, but I kept looking at these, especially the French Bulldog, because my brother is married to a lady who runs a doggy daycare in Southern California, and they're involved with pug rescue groups. I know there's no pug here, but we went to one of her events once, and a lot of the same folks have these French Bulldogs. And these were just such well-done dogs. The dog alphabet didn't interest me. Anyway, no, I did not steal this from under the lady's nose. But when I went to I kept putting it back, and finally I took it up to the register, and I asked. There were like 3 of the shop volunteers there. I said, was there a customer looking for this? Was there someone interested in these dogs? Or am I safe to buy it? And they all asked each other, did you see someone? Was someone looking for the dogs? And they asked, I said, I don't know of anyone. You're fine. You can buy it. So whoever it was, I hope this isn't the one she was looking for, but it's volume 6. Maybe she wanted some other volume that wasn't there. I got it. I feel a little guilty, but it was so beautiful. I didn't want to leave it behind. And I did ask. I asked, and they said it was okay. And then I got a kit, $5. It's this one that's marked with a dot. I wish they'd had the others. I looked it up online. You can see it was $5. You know what I was saying about imports and things? I don't know who originally got this, how it ended up in the hands of this needlework shop, because they get a lot of donations, I think. But I went to their website, and these, depending on the fabric and such, seem to run anywhere from like $50 to $80 euros. $5. I know it's ghost to mention money, but I didn't know that when I got it. I got it because I liked it. And I think it has Danish flower thread, which I've never worked with before. I'm really interested to work with that. And it's got the linen, or whatever it is, might be an even weave. I think it's a linen. It's a linen. It's got everything, and it's beautiful. Okay, now, AM Dreamingstitcher really has everything anybody could ever want. She doesn't need anything else, right? Okay, well, that might be true, except I got a notification from Stitchery.com that something I had looked at was on sale. And so I went to look and I thought, well, I really don't need anything else. I've got all these things. I don't need anything else. But let me look at what's in their sale. And besides the one that I liked, and a couple others that I had looked at before, they had one that I had had in my cart a couple of times and kept putting back. And it was on sale. It's an Easter piece. And so I ordered, this was the most expensive thing I got all these months. Everything else has been cheap. But I went ahead and ordered them. And they were taking a while to come. And when they did show up, the mailman didn't deliver them. He left me a note in the box. He said that there wasn't a place to deliver it. I was so disappointed. I was going to have to go to the post office after work to get it on the day that I was expecting it. It wasn't there. I was going to have to go the next day. So I told myself, as long as you have to do this. I also had to be back at work that evening for something, and I said, let's go. We'll go to the post office. That'll use up some time between getting off of work and needing to be back there again. And let's go to the Friends of the Library. So I got my package, and I went to the Friends of the Library. Let me show you my package. The piece that initially interested me, I looked at it in the catalog and thought, now there's a really nice piece. Why aren't these other designers? You know, often they have something I kind of like, but not quite. It just isn't right. For example, Teresa Wensler does beautiful work. I think we could all agree. But her figure drawing is actually not good. Whether it's humans or animals, her figure drawing is not good. I mean, compare her humans to a typical Mirabilia or a Haid, a Heaven and Earth design. She can't really draw. But her work is beautiful, nonetheless, somehow. I don't know how she manages that. But some artists can. Some artists know how to design. Some artists, you look at their piece and everything about it is just right. And so I looked at this and thought, why aren't they all like this? Now, wait a minute. I am going to look this up online. It's an adapted artwork. It's like the Van Gogh pieces that they have in the catalog, or, the Kiss, Klimt, anybody like that. It's like, it's a real artist, and they've adapted it. It was a Pissarro piece. So this Windmills at Naka is what caught, I hope Naka is how you say it, I'm really not sure. This is what caught my attention in the catalog. This is what went on sale. This is the thing where I thought the composition is really nice. I love the clouds. I love the clouds. I don't think you can see them nearly as well as they are, really. And I had looked it up when I saw it in the catalog and looked at prices online and thought that's all very well and good. But no, it's not at my price point. Then when it went on sale, I looked again and nobody had it cheaper than that. So I got it. What else did I get from the same order? What was the thing that said, yes, I am shopping today. Yes, the other thing I wanted is on sale. The thing I kept putting in my cart and taking out again. It was this one. It's an Easter piece. Now, I'm a little bit like Kyle Reckemeyer in that I am less religious than this would lead one to believe. It's ecclesiastical stitching, and I am attracted to it for various reasons I'm not even going to try to go into because my video is so darn long now. But I did grow up in a number of different places. Parent was military, and one of the churches we went to, the one that I got my Bible from, was at least 200 years old when we were there, and that was a good long while ago. and they had beautiful stained glass, and there's just something about old church stuff, and so much embroidery in history has been done for ecclesiastical reasons. And the church that my mother went to in the town I'm in now, at Christmas puts up a tree where all the ornaments have little ecclesiastical designs similar to these, only much more beautiful and elaborate. But I just liked it every time I saw it, and I was looking for books that would have similar designs. I was looking all over. Nothing suited me as well as this does, and then it went on sale. So it comes with a 22 count even weave and some ribbon and floss. The ribbon is for putting around the eggs. I don't know where to get the eggs. I have to open it and read what to do. But that's why I put my things in the cart and got that. And the other two were two other Riolis pieces. No, I'm sorry, they're not. They're Lanarte that I had seen in the catalog and liked, but they pack theirs like Lanarte does. I love botanicals. I think you figured that out by now. And those were on sale. They look like they should be a pair, but they're not really. One is on 18 count, and the other is on 16 count, I think. Or 14 even. I think. Yeah, 18 and 16. This one's 16, so it's larger. This one's 18. But they come out very close to the same size. One is 32.5 centimeters, the other's 30 centimeters. Even though, sorry, 33. 32.5 and 33. Almost the same height. Width is 18.5 and 20. Almost the same width, but they're on completely different stitch counts. So that tells you with one, sorry, not stitch counts, fabric counts. So with one being 16 and one being 18, one has more detail. Sorry, I got those backwards. 16, 18. Don't make you seasick. Okay, now she has everything she could ever want, except I told her I was going to the Friends of the Library. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Before Friends of the Library, shall I just say something about Hobby Lobby? Someone online was doing a video. Her title said something about going crazy at Hobby Lobby. I've been meaning to go to Hobby Lobby. Haven't been for a while. Thought if I did go I should bring a coupon. Didn't have a coupon, but after I saw her video I thought maybe they're having another sale. They were kind of. They have some things on clearance. Not nearly as much as before last year because they don't have as much as they had then. They've shrunk their available things. And many of the things you all have shown that you got at Hobby Lobby were never, ever at my Hobby Lobby. I don't know why they don't carry the same stuff, but you've shown all kinds of things, including what this gal bought that I've never seen. But I went in and they did have two things that I liked. Chicken for my sister. I told you she likes chickens. And I have some beautiful books by Jane Netley Mayhew with designs like this that I could do. I've got some kits I could stitch up. But here he was inexpensive. He was pretty. I went ahead and got him. Anything else from their clearance? Not very much, no. I got a couple of bookmarks that could be stitched up. A baby bib, because I know someone that's supposed to be having a baby. He's more than a week overdue. I wonder if he's here yet. And 5 of these little things that have nothing to do with cross stitch, so I'm not going to bother to tell you about them today. The very last, Friends of the Library. This'll be it, I promise. Only some of these have little stories to go with them. I sat down. I was filling up time before I had to go back to work. Yeah, that is a lot. Each one of them was either 10 cents or 25 cents. So, yeah. Okay. One of them I wanted to make right away. I mostly don't like, I mean, they're okay. The patterns on here didn't stimulate me that much, but I love pears, a well done pear, and I want to do that pear. Do you know how some of the stores have had Aida fabric stretched over a little frame ready to stitch? I have some black frames. Thought I could do it on one of those black ready to stitch frames. So I looked at the chart, and that little pear has like something like 14 different colors in it, including a bunch of blends. So I went into my stash. When I say a bunch, I mean like 4 or 5 blends in that little pear. I only had this many colors. 6. I'm nowhere near all the colors I need. I didn't have any of the 900s. I need 937, 935, 6, and 7, I think. 935, 6, and 7 I didn't have. 7, 30, 32, 33, and 34 I didn't have. 920 and 920. I did have 920 and 922, but they're blended with 734, which I didn't have. I mean, there's just so many colors. There's some 400s. I need 420. I found that, but I couldn't find one of the others. Anyway, I couldn't make the pear. That's why I'm making the little bear kit that you saw. I wanted to do this for my next project, but I didn't. Okay. They had lots of magazines. I told myself I am not getting a magazine unless it has at least 3 projects I like or 1 I love. I saw several magazines that I flipped through that might have one I liked, but not enough to buy the whole magazine. I saw one that had a series that if they had had the other 2 issues with that series, boy, would I have got that. But no, they only had the 1 issue, and it was the least interesting piece. But I did get 1 magazine. I got cross-stitch and needlework. This is March 2012. And I'll just show you really quickly. This one's okay. They have this Shamrock Biscornu. That wasn't what I got it for. I got it for... I'll show you the 3 I liked. And there's other okay ones. That's okay. That's not why I got it. This isn't really meant to be a flip through. I got it for those 3. I thought they were very interesting. I like this. It goes in the I like it. Don't know if I'll do it, but I like it. Has a lot of specialty stitches. I like this one. But that wasn't why I got it either. But already, see, those are extra likes. I said it had to have at least 3 I like, or 1 I love. So I liked that first one. I did not get it for that, but you might like that. I did not get it for that, but you might like that. Oh, there's an extra chart in there that didn't show. Little bunnies. I might do the bunnies. We'll see. I did like this article because look, they put their floss in a card catalog like I do. They have specialty stitches. I did not get it for that, but you might like that. I did not get it for that, but you might like that. I did not get it for that. Enough said. I didn't get it for the Biscornu. I liked this. This was one of the 3 that qualified for at least 3 that you like. I like that. I'm going to have to do something about my hair here. And that. Yeah. Those were the 3. I got it for that one at the front and those last couple. And these are okay. So all in all, it was an issue with lots of nice things in it. So I got that. I'm going to pause you and fix my hair just a second. Sorry, that was driving me crazy. This says it's needlepoint or cross stitch. Do you see that nice lighthouse design? I like that. The chart gives DMC floss, anchor floss, JP coats. No, I'm sorry. DMC and anchor and pattern iron yarn. I could never do it with the pattern iron because it takes way too much. They say how many lengths they need, for example, 62 lengths of white. I don't have that kind of wool stash, so I would do it as cross stitch. I saw this one and thought of Kay. Kay of Kay's cross stitch. Do you have that one, Kay? It's from the Lilac Studio. It's not just pansies. Pansies, violas, and violets. Botanical designs. I love those. I was not aware that just crotch stitch used to do supplements. Here's a supplement of alphabets. They have the one on the front. And I'll just show you from a distance, your typical, that kind of thing. Just 4 pages. Another supplement from Just Cross Stitch. I have a lot of charts of this kind of thing. Little critters, realistically rendered critters. I like the weasel especially. And that is a hamster. I thought these are wild animals. I know that gerbils live in the wild. I guess I didn't think about hamsters in the wild, but that's a wild hamster. A frog, a mouse, a little chipmunk, and a pica. I thought, isn't that a pica? So I looked inside, and yes, it is. We don't have those where I live. Anyway, like that one. This one, not my usual style, but I think I told you we grew up in a place where the church we went to was more than 200 years old. That tells you it was on the East Coast, right there. Well, actually, it could have been out here in the West. They have some very old missions and things. But there was toll painting back there, Pennsylvania Dutch toll painting and hex signs and things. And so I have a little bit of fondness for that in my heart. And most of these designs don't do anything for me, but I like this double bird design, where my finger is. And this swan, who appears in a couple of places, he really caught my eye. And there's a, see if I can find him. There's a quail. Here they are. Here's a double quail up here. And they have a single quail there. Those are the ones that caught my eye. And really some of the other ones I like too. But those 3, the quail and the double bird and the swan, that's what got me to get that. Okay, we'll come back to this little bit of the pile. I've seen this before, full price in shops, and I would have bought it then if I'd really, really liked it. I'm not sure I would stitch these. This is the kind that I like to look at. The kind that's not quite there. Like I said, the Pissarro piece, the windmills at Naka, interests me because of its composition and the clouds and all of that, and I find it just right. These, I don't know if any of them are just right. Each of them has something that just isn't quite there for me, but I like to look at them. I like to look at charts. I like to have charts that, these are nice. I do like them. I like to see what can be done. Okay. New Mexico Stitching Demon, who I keep mentioning, obviously I watch her videos, has been doing Disney stuff, and there was another stitcher. She mostly does diamond paintings and life updates and things. Her name is Tabitha Nemeth. Was doing Winnie the Pooh, and just seeing them do things made me think of, that happy cartoon aesthetic. It's kind of nice. I don't have any books like that, but again, I wasn't going to buy something unless they had one I loved. These are all nice. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh. My parents read the book to me. That's the one I love. I love Eeyore. I love Eeyore. I can see stitching Eeyore. I really can. There's a larger picture of the same thing. Piglet's nice too. I can see stitching that. I'm sure lots of floss tubers have this. 25 cents. How could I say no? You're going to detect a theme here. I won't even bother trying to explain these. You're just going to detect a theme. Woodland ducks. That one image right there, that's the chart. Crossed wing collection, Loon Lake. I have lots of crossed wings. There's this big loon one and little miniature, kind of the same design. Country cross-stitched ducks in a row. There are actually 4 different duck designs. It looks like 8, but they're repeated. Plus a pheasant, plus bobwhite quails, plus a loon, plus birds in flight. The duck pond. 20 different. 20 different, I counted. Do I even need to mention the theme? And pond friends. 4 different designs. I owned ducks at one point. I had 17 of them. They were all mallards and one pekin. They're horrible animals. They're terrible to each other. They make a mess. The boys will kill the girl, will fight over the girls, and they drowned one of mine. They're awful animals. I love to see them in the wild, though. I love them on the water. I love ducks. I've learned not to keep them. I had mine for a while, 10 years, till the last passed away. But yeah, no more ducks for me. This one needs an excuse. I did not need. But they had some paperback copies of the Just Cross Stitch, Best of Just Cross Stitch that came out in like the early 1990s. And I have the hardcover at home that I got from Amazon or some third-party seller. And the cover shows 4 of these fruit. So when I saw this, oh, by the way, I also own the kit, which I haven't stitched yet. This Teresa Wensler does well. This she does really well. I love her tapestry cat. I love her fruit bell pull. I like her floral bell pull. I like her bird houses. She just doesn't do equines. I have her carousel horses, but her people aren't very good as all. But anyway, because in my head I had the image of the 4 on the cover, I saw this and thought, are there really 4 or are there 6? There's 6 here. Are there 6 in my kit? Are there 6 in the book? I should have taken the book off the shelf and looked at it because they had a paperback copy, but I didn't notice that till I had made my stack. It's only 10 cents. Are there 2 extra ones in here? So I got it. No, there are not 2 extra ones in here. I did not need it. This does not come with its instructions, but it's what it says. Sheets of trace and erase. You've got 11 count, 14 count, 16 count, and 18 count. You can do your own, lay it over a picture, transfer it to graph paper, do your own designing. I have a chart pack, a book that I got in a lot, I think, of horses. I think these are better than those. All the trees look dead in the one I have. Kind of like this guy. See how the trees in the background look dead? Do all the trees in England really look dead when they're hunting? I don't know what to say about that. But these are 2 different designers. But I thought they were better than any of the ones in the chart booklet I have. These are state flowers. They're old. So they could probably be rendered better today with the help of computers. But I still thought they were very pretty. It's got all the state flowers. Booklet. Okay. This is bookmarks in colors that I would not choose. But we cross-stitchers change colors. I would change the colors. This is more bookmarks. I think lots of floss tubers already have this one. I already have all 12. I have a booklet with all of these month flowers. So I thought, well, there has to be something in here you like. If you're going to spend your 25 cents, there has to be something that you would stitch. And I like the Once Upon a Time and the end, as well as some of this had bunnies. I love bunnies. These are very similar to these, but not the same. So yeah, there were enough different ones in there. There's 66, enough different ones. Almost done, folks. 2 things, and then I will be done. These are all still friends of the library. When I was a child, I had a Raggedy Ann and a Raggedy Andy. And when I was about 3 years old, I think, I lost my Raggedy Andy. I left him at a playground in Germany. And my parents, grandmother, somebody got me another Raggedy Ann so that I had a Raggedy Ann and a Raggedy Andy. 2 Raggedy Anns at one point. One was new and fresh and clean, and the other was the old one I'd always had. And I thought, what I really need is a Raggedy Andy. So I asked for one, and I was probably too old to be getting them anyway. I was about maybe 9 then, turning 9 or 10, but I think it was 9. Could have been 10. Very old for a Raggedy Ann doll. And my plan was, my sister and I would always make great elaborate stories with our toys. And my 2 Raggedy Anns were going to have a great time with a Raggedy Andy if I got one, because there was going to be all kinds of jealousy and drama and fighting over him and everything else. And so I got my Raggedy Andy. He wasn't the same size as they were. He was a larger one for teaching a child to tie their shoes and put on their clothes. That was okay. I could still have fun with him, except I went to look, and my old Raggedy Ann was gone. And I asked my mom what happened to my old Raggedy Ann. I was going to have my two Raggedy Anns fight over Auntie. I didn't tell her that. But, and she said, oh, your grandmother got rid of it because you have Raggedy Andy now. Oh, she spoiled everything. Also, my brother had Cleety the Clown. I don't know if you know that the whole Raggedy Ann and Andy universe had all kinds of characters in it. You can kind of see some of them here on the back. My brother had Cleety the Clown. I don't remember the name of this horse thing, if it has a name. And my sister took it once. And one of her stories is how she took his Cleety, and he was very upset. And my dad asked why she'd taken the Cleety, and it's because her clown, she had a little toy clown, was sort of a rag cloth clown, had no face. And Cleety had a face. She wanted a clown with a face. So my dad, who was a wonderful artist, even though that was not his profession, took a pen or marker or whatever and drew a face on her clown. And then she was happy. That's all she needed. He put a beautiful little face on her clown. Anyway, I have fond memories of Raggedy Ann and Andy, and most of these I don't think I would ever stitch. But something in my heart said you can't leave that behind. It's from 1982. It's like you may actually stitch one of those someday because you love Raggedy Ann and Andy. And this last one, oh, this makes me think of my mother. I have a sore spot when it comes to some of the things we've cleaned out of the house because my sister has involved her sister-in-law, and her sister-in-law talks big, doesn't always follow through. So we went through my mom's large collection of cookbooks, and I don't remember what in the world she said she was going to do with them. They were going to go to the church sale or something, I don't know. But we gave them all to her, and it didn't turn out well. She wanted us, my brother-in-law, to go pick them up again. I didn't even remember. I just felt bad about giving her all the cookbooks. It's like if you were not going to do what you said you were going to do with them, we could have put them in the sale that we're going to have. Because this was boxes of books. We could have put them in the estate sale. Or donated them ourselves. But anyway, I wasn't happy. But I did keep a few. And some of them were extremely vintage. And I looked at this and it made me think of my mother and her really old cookbooks and the way she prepared meals. If you're old enough, this may sound familiar to you. She wanted to have healthy meals for her family. And the way to do things then, they talked about 4 food groups or whatever. She would make sure on our plate that we had a protein, a starch, a vegetable, and on the side, fruit. And she was so meticulous about this. Sometimes she'd make a casserole or something like that. But if it was separate items, it was a protein, a starch, a vegetable, and on the side, a fruit. A little dish of canned fruit, usually. And I looked at this incredibly vintage looking thing, these primitive designs. This is from 1979, I think. I think I found a date. I could be imagining it. 1979. And it made me think of her. It's for making a casserole, but choose one meat. Choose a sauce, soup plus a sauce. Choose one of these vegetables to put in it. Choose one of these, they call them fillers, but to me that would be like the starch. And then they have toppings. It made me think so much of her and the way she did things, and just the design being so ancient, and the whole, this is the way you put your food groups together, that I couldn't leave it behind. Just some things, and I don't care about the other 2 patterns on there, but some things just speak to your heart. Raggedy Ann and this just spoke to my heart. I don't know if I'll ever stitch them, but looking at them brings back memories. It makes me happy. One of the things I actually kept when we cleaned out the garage was we found a scrap of paper, it might have even been a calendar page, on which my mother had planned out the months dinners. So there it was in her handwriting and the days saying what she was going to make. And I kept that because it speaks to my heart. Alright, this is the longest flosstube video I've ever done. If I had any new subscribers, they're going to just faint at how long this went on. But I did warn you after the stitching part that everything else was going to be stash. So I hope that covers it all. I tried to talk about what I've been looking at in flosstube and show you my stitching and talk about the importance of using the proper materials, good fabrics, good flosses, things that don't disintegrate in your hands like an artiste floss. Tried to show you things even if I wasn't coherent about it, like this is what you get with no backstitch on my little bunny blob, and here's what you get when you use backstitch, just to encourage you to do it. Tried to reinforce my video that talked about sorting floss really can be done even when it's in a huge bundle like that Bucilla kit. I don't think this was half as organized as I meant it to be in my head, but thank you for watching if you actually sat through this. Thank you so very much. I don't know when I'll do my next video, since I do have one or two small pieces. If I can get the materials for that pair, it might be sooner rather than later, but I really want to make some more progress on my big pieces. I have not stopped working on them. I just turned to the little ones to get some momentum going, you know, to feel like I was making some progress. And I really want to do the other pieces as well. So I'm going to continue on everything you saw. Lord knows when I'll ever stitch these things. Like I said, I even thought about doing sable videos, but I don't think I will, because I think you want to see stitching. I mean, if I'm wrong, if you want to see stash, let me know. I've shown you a lot of things I've acquired since starting flosstube, but not even all of what I've bought since starting flosstube, not even close. And I had stash before I started flosstube. I am definitely stash acquired beyond life expectancy. If you want to see those, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to assume you want to see stitching, and I'm going to try not to buy any more. And I'm going to keep watching your videos. Thank you very much if you watched mine. And you might see me doing a stitch with me video, maybe not. I actually filmed one when I was working on that big frame piece that I didn't identify for you. But that was really just more for me to motivate me to work on it. That was when I was still trying to do it on the floor stand that wasn't working very well. And I was just kind of seeing if it could be filmed, like from the side, would it work? But a new floss tuber, she didn't call herself a floss tuber, but a new stitcher I saw called Kira Stitches, I think was her name. Kira, like Kira Knightley with an E-I, I believe, and Stitches with a Z, said that she would like more Stitch With Me videos that are just silent. And I thought, well, I could do that. I don't have to babble at people. I could just stitch. So I may or may not do one of those, but I don't think I'm going to inflict any sable videos on you unless you specifically ask, because I've got boxes and boxes of stuff and shelves of stuff and old magazines and everything. It could go on far longer than New Mexico Stitching Demons did. Maybe not as long as Cross Stitcher AK is gonna go by the time she gets through her 12 boxes. But Colbin did one once too. I liked hers. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I had a few new subscribers. I think that is probably entirely thanks to Stitching Jules making her list and encouraging people to subscribe to those who didn't have, quite as many subscribers already. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. Those of you who are floss tubers, I appreciate people who just come to watch because we're sharing what we love. And thanks for listening to all this babbling. I'll see you next time, or you'll see me. Bye-bye.